Van Hollen.
Well, thank you. Thank you to co-chairs Dane and King and Senator Heinrich. Good to be with you, and thank you for considering these bills. I'm going to start with a bill that's not on the agenda very briefly, and the reason it's not on the agenda is because this committee's previously heard the bill, and about this time last year, it passed out of the committee and the Senate unanimously, and my friend Senator Kane and the Virginia delegation is on this bill. It's the Chesapeake National Recreation Area bill. I just urge my colleagues to work with us to pass that bill again. It was paired last year with Senator Wicker's bill on Vicksburg, and it really is an effort that's been years in the making, and we just urge you to move forward this year as we did last year unanimously. The two bills that are before you now have also been driven by community efforts, but also rise to the level, we believe, to have this kind of National Park Service participation. The first is the Justice Thurgood Marshall National Historic Site Establishment Act, which is co-sponsored by my colleague here in the Senate, Senator Alsobrooks, and has been introduced in the House on a bipartisan basis. Congressman Mfume is the lead sponsor, but Congressman Andy Harris, part of our delegation, is also on that bill, so it is bipartisan in the House. The bill would designate Baltimore's historic public school 103, where Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall went to school, as an NPS-affiliated area. Justice Marshall is best known as the first African-American Supreme Court justice and as the lead counsel in the landmark Brown versus Board of Education case that ended racial segregation in public schools. And his story, as we know, is one of perseverance, leadership, and a commitment to protecting the rights of all Americans. That story inspired some of the local church groups in Baltimore and others to come together to put together $50 million, non-federal funding, to help transform what had been PS 103 into a community center dedicated to Thurgood Marshall. In 2019, Senator Cardin and I put forward legislation or proposal to ask for a review of this project to see if National Park Service participation could help elevate this important story. And the study indicated that that would be a helpful and useful effort. And that is why we have the bill that's before you. It's important that to understand that the affiliated area designation means that unlike when a new unit is established, the site will not transfer to the Park Service. The current owners will maintain responsibility for the property in line with federal standards, maximizing access while, and I want to stress this, minimizing the need for financial support from the federal government. The other piece of legislation before you is the Francis G. Newlands Memorial Removal Act of 2025, which would seek to remove a memorial to Francis Newlands at Chevy Chase Circle. For those of you here, if you drive out Connecticut Avenue, when you're crossing from D.C. into Maryland, you go past Chevy Chase Circle. The area around Chevy Chase Circle was developed by Francis Newlands, and that is why this plaque was put in the circle in his honor at the time. The community on both sides of the circle wants to remove this plaque. Why? Because he was a former senator from Nevada. That's not why, but just so you know, he's not a Marylander, doesn't have Maryland roots. He was a white supremacist, and he worked to actively ensure that the development he built was inaccessible to blacks, Jews, and working class families. So this is a memorial plaque that was put there because he was the developer of this area, but the development that he put together denied those groups access. Just to give you a little flavor of his position, at the 1912 Democratic National Convention, he proposed a, quote, white plank to the party's platform that, among other things, called for repealing the 15th Amendment, which, of course, is the amendment which gave African-American men the right to vote. Despite that, the inscription says, and I quote, "His statesmanship held true regard for the interests of all men." Clearly, that inscription does not fit the individual that it's there to memorialize. And as I said, the community organizations, the Montgomery County Council, the DC Chevy Chase Association, the Maryland Chevy Chase Village and Town, they've all voted unanimously to act to have this removed. And I looked at the administration's position here, and they're apparently opposing it for reasons rooted in partisan ideology or efforts to minimize the significance of historical figures. I would just say that his name is on there because he was the developer for this community, a development that, as I said, excluded individuals that we would all agree should never have been excluded. So I hope the committee will see to it that the community's views are represented, and the community should not have to forever see this memorial at Chevy Chase Circle that's in memory of the person with this kind of record. I thank you all.
Senator Hollen.